A brief message from your friendly neighborhood editing Jordan. We tend to try to keep things pretty PG-13 around here, but this is an improv podcast. So, who knows what we're going to say. Sometimes we throw in some swearing, some sexual content, and some violence. So, as a general warning, viewer discretion is advised. Also to be noted, the opinions stated about a certain tabletop role-playing game are just that, our opinions. We love the game and we like talking about it. So, any criticisms are really just all in good fun. All right, with that out of the way, let's get on with the show.
All right. So you all see as this guy, he looks young, but probably the oldest among you all. He's got some facial hair, but he looks like he recently poorly shaved, and he has long hair because he needs to get a haircut. And he's walking up to the tavern, and he sits beside you all, and he says in a gruff voice that he's definitely pretending, and he goes like, "Hey." He looks like he's just a nerd. And then that's what my character looks like when he walks up to you guys.
You're just playing a dude?
It's your turn. You gotta introduce your character now.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
All right. So I decided I was gonna do the stereotypical edgy rogue thing. So like hood up, not looking at anybody, and just kind of like eyeing people suspiciously. You can't really see a face. And yeah. There's also a knife very visible somewhere.
All right.
Well, sitting across from you, Pertuset's character. I mean, you haven't said your name yet, so I'm not sure.
Pertuset.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
You see this really lanky guy who's really, really tall. Like probably if he's human, he'd be above average, but he doesn't really look human. He's got his pretty angular face, so you're pretty sure he's an elf. And he's got this hair. I know your character said he had long hair, but like this guy, like this is really long hair for no real apparent reason. It goes like all the way down to the bottom of his back. It's covering his ears, so you can't tell if he's got human ears or elf ears or anything. And he just looks over at you and goes, "Me?"
Guys, I think I misunderstood the assignment.
That's okay.
Well, what do you mean? What do you mean?
I didn't actually like really prepare a character, but you two actually like seem to have like characters. I was just kind of making it up.
Oh yeah, our characters.
Our
this
characters,
is us.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I thought we were just doing like, yeah.
You don't have a knife right now?
No. I have a letter opener.
I forgot to mention, my character has spectacles on his eyes because he's insanely blind without them. Like, actually, my character, if there was a vision score, this guy's passive perception is in the negatives.
You know what game does have a vision score?
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Nat One Podcast, aka Nope, because nope, you're not going to want to hear what we're about to have to say. I'm Pertuset.
I'm Levi.
And I'm Jordan.
No, now you gotta leave it in. Now you gotta leave all that in.
And now we're back in.
It's not fair. She's cucked us with the intro so many times, and now she doesn't get cucked. It's not fair, I tell you.
I can hear you.
Oh,
that's not fair. She can hear us.
Sorry, I'll just.
There we go. Much better.
There we go.
Now. Anyway, welcome everybody to our introductions episode. An episode that we've had thoroughly planned for a long time to do.
Yeah. We've been ready for this for months.
And hopefully now, well, maybe not hopefully, but those I'm gonna point it out, even though I know I shouldn't point it out. I think it's cool and nifty. If you've noticed, everyone at home, the titles for each episode for this month is the same title as our very first episode. It's Dungeons, Dragons, ampersand, Introductions.
How cool and self-referential.
We're so cool, guys.
We're so smart, so edgy.
You're so cool.
We're on an intellectual level higher than everybody.
You have to have an IQ. I forget how the rest of the copy pasta went.
Everything around us radiates down.
Yeah.
We are the ultimate up.
Yes.
Today we're going to talk about introductions in tabletop terms. In role-playing environments and worlds.
Turbs.
Exactly. Now, we don't do those that often, really, because we have such stable characters
we play
that
such
survive.
long-term campaigns, except for that one time.
Except for the
we
one
don't
time.
talk about that one time.
We do because it was funny.
We do talk about it a lot.
The one time.
We talk about it significantly a lot for something that we don't talk
what's
about.
the opposite of like a crowning achievement? What?
A lifetime underachievement
Yes,
award.
It is my lifetime underachievement as a DM is that moment.
I still don't know why, because it was still a fun campaign for how long we played it.
I miss Boocious.
I
miss Boocious.
I miss Elliot. It was fun for while it lasted, even though it was a mess.
This isn't the sci-fi episode. We said like a long time ago we were gonna make an episode about that, didn't we? Did we ever do that?
I think it was our Star Wars episode.
Yeah, we talked about it a bit,
that makes sense. Okay, so people do know about it. The sci-fi campaign is my lifetime underachievement award as a DM.
It was so fun.
But we never talked about JoJo, so I've squeaked by. I don't have to have my
JoJo was also fun.
JoJo, I think, was 1,000 times better than sci-fi.
JoJo was a blast.
I didn't like it as like a product. It's like it's like Stephen King looking at The Shining.
Everyone else loves it, and you're like, it's horrible.
It was so fun.
I'm glad you think so. I thought it was a mess.
Especially the part where TJ became a vampiric Hamon user with a stand, so every time he did anything, he just hurt himself.
It was beautiful.
That was fun. I did like doing that. But anyway, today we're here to talk about introductions in your tabletop role-playing games as you introduce characters and whatnot, and the general tropes and stuff surrounding introductions of characters.
Yeah.
And where else is the best place to start other than in the tavern? Huh?
Yeah.
We've only done that once, I think.
Yes.
Yes?
Mm-hmm.
No?
Partially.
Yes.
Olympus kind of started in a tavern, depending on where people were throughout the city.
Yes. No.
It's because we all met at the message board, but some of us were in the same taverns and passed each other.
Yes.
So technically, on a technicality, we have only done it once. And technically Caiaphas and Ren met in a tavern.
That's true.
So we've done it twice.
That's true, but that's not the whole party. That's just two members of a bigger party. That's 1/3 of a party.
I still qualify like meetings. I think
okay.
I think it still partially counts.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've pretty much mostly avoided the stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's because the two DMs have been like, "Oh, it's a stereotype. I don't want to do it."
Well,
I think it's just more so been like we just came up with a different way of getting the party to meet up, and we didn't really just think about that. We just didn't have that in our mind when we were doing it.
For sure. I just chose I had you guys meeting in the city in the sky, and I was like, well, the draw of it is that it's a city in the sky, so I don't think I want them to be in a tavern when they meet. That's not the attention grabber they should be getting at. It was nothing against taverns. I was just like, I want them to be outside.
For me, when we did Vivia 1, I was very much in a more railroaded mindset for story. And so I was like, well, they got to start here, because how else are they going to get employed by this person who needs to set them off on the path to get on the story? So I forced all of you to meet in a palace. An emperor was hiring adventurers. In Vivia 2, we did like in a tavern adjacent for Vivia 2, where
I didn't remember that because I was not there.
Basically, the city that they all started in was under like lockdown. Haha, this was before COVID.
It was
right before COVID.
And like they all got off this ship. There were like the people that weren't from here got off this ship because they just came into town on this ship. And then the people that were from there just happened to be like near where they were coming off the ship. And the guards were like, okay, everyone get in this building because it's like curfew and you've all got to be inside. So we're all going to get you inside of this like storehouse, figure it out, sleep somewhere. And then they did. So that's how they met.
I actually didn't know that. I did not know any of that because I was not there for session 0 because I was at school.
I was one of the only 2 that are like still here. And I remember it because I was like, I actually enjoyed it a lot because I was like, this feels like I'm at like a dang. It's like whenever it felt like me, like being in a gymnasium during a tornado.
Yeah.
Like you're just there with a bunch of other like not really victims, but you know what I mean, like a bunch of other people seeking shelter.
People
and it was like
circumstance.
it was way gloomier than a tavern, and it was cool for that. There's also like an air of like, oh, are we gonna be all right? That was fun. I thought that was cool. Of course, my character was not fully realized or fleshed out at that point, so if I could, I would go back in time and change how he behaved a little bit. But other than that, I really like the setting for that. I like the first one too. I like this being contracted out.
I did too.
I thought that was a great way to force us together with like to make a party. I didn't feel like it was too railroady. I feel like everybody has a certain level of like agency suspense when it comes to starting a campaign because they're like, well, yeah, we have to have a party.
Yeah, you have to make it work. And especially with the Vivia 1 party, I don't think that those people would have come together by themselves. Absolutely not.
Forced together through work. No.
Yeah. Definitely not. Definitely. If we just met in a tavern, we all would have been like, well, screw you. Yeah. I'm out. But it worked well in that.
Like we said, in Olympus, we met in a city in the sky, and we were all in the same city together. But then the first night that we played the game, we all had a premonition. We all had a dream that had each other in it. So then in the morning, we all found each other and we're like, what the heck? I saw you and you saw me. We got to get to the bottom of this. And then we started traveling together.
He saw she, we, me saw.
Yeah. And then Vivia 3, which hasn't started yet, so they technically haven't done their meeting thing, but I think all of them can see where this is heading.
Yeah, and some of us have met, so we're together, kind of.
We're in parents.
The individual meetings, because this is the first campaign, unless Pertuset's done them in secret, and I'm not aware of it, that we've done session zeros for. And so we've done pre-game stuff where I have had small groups of each of the players split off from each other, and they're all going to meet in the first session 1 at level 2 instead of level 1, which is how we've traditionally started every single one of our campaigns. So those 2 sitting across from me in the virtual cyberspace.
That's me.
They met because Pertuset's character was a wanderer on the road for reasons. And showed up at the tavern that Jordan's character's family owns. And Jordan's character's mom, not a real mom, was like, whoa, this guy's strange. And he's coming in from the road and he's sketchy. And then like right after he came in, plot stuff happened. And it was like, you 2 have to go do a thing together. And it has to be together. And it was
take Francis with you.
Yeah, so they did that, and that's how they met. Taryn and TJ, for anyone who remembers them, 2 of our close friends who have been on the podcast before.
Yeah, tell them how TJ met Taryn. Tell them how that happened.
Well, see, okay. So for reference, Pertuset's playing a Warforged.
No, don't give him for reference. Just tell him.
You can do the reference afterwards. Do the reference after.
Okay. A kobold fell out of the sky on top of an Aarakocra from like hundreds of meters in the air. Didn't die. At this Aarakocra's father's funeral.
It sounds like the beginning of a joke. Like a kobold falls on an Aarakocra at a funeral. Punchline.
Hey!
So Pertuset and Jordan are playing like not normal characters, but they're like more approachable, I think, in terms of how they look.
Yeah.
Caiaphas is a Warforged, so he's a robot, but he has the size of like a human and the body shape of a human. That's Pertuset's character.
Well, and you're pretty covered too, right? Like you've got like a mask and stuff. Yeah.
And Jordan is playing a changeling, so they can literally look like whatever they want to. TJ is playing a kobold. And Taryn is playing technically a half Aarakocra, half human, half Aarakocra, but for racial statistics, we just use Aarakocra. But like weird half bird person. And they're both small, not size-wise. I think technically the kobold might be. I don't remember.
I think he might be. That sounds correct.
But like they're both short characters. They're both small little gremlin creatures. And they happened upon each other at Terran's character's parents' funeral, of all things, because Terran was like, I want to start the game at my dad's funeral.
Is that why that happened?
Yes! I said to him, because there was a thing where I don't remember if I asked both of you, but I was like, oh, do you have any preferences on like if we do anything specific for the beginning? Do you want to be in a particular situation?
I think you asked like where we would probably be, like in a general area. Yeah.
Both of you were like, oh no, it doesn't matter that much. It's very vague. It doesn't matter. And I asked those two that as well, and Terran said, can it be at my dad's funeral?
Of course he did.
And I said, okay, sure. Yeah.
Where's that kid at? Get him in here. Get him in the call.
I thought that just came from the fact that he had dead parents, and so you decided to put him in
I thought that was you.
Funeral.
No,
yeah.
He made it so that his father had died really recently. And I was like, okay. Because his whole thing was like his last parent dying was going to be like his last big connection to home. So that's why he would like leave and go off on this adventure, whatever you guys are going to do.
Turns out he didn't have a choice.
But then when I figured when he said that meant that like it was dead and buried already. No, he was in the process of being buried when we started.
Right.
That's amazing. I love that.
And then Dylan's character hasn't even met any of you.
Correct.
And neither has Ashley.
He technically met somebody.
So he met Francis on a technicality. If we're doing the technicality thing from earlier, he met one of the NPCs who was knocked out.
Yeah. He met the sound of my war pick.
And the way they're all gonna meet is that at the end of each of their session zeros, they all got beaten unconscious. And so when they all wake up, presumably they'll all be together and be like, who the heck are you guys? Why are we here? What's going on?
Or we just kill all the other characters and escape.
Let's get to the bottom of this. I hope you don't kill the other characters.
I think that's the simpler solution. Just don't leave any witnesses.
We also all decided to us being tied up. It's very embarrassing.
To us escaping.
We also.
I don't mean all the other characters. I meant you and me, Pertuset.
We figured out that like each of our characters, pretty much every single character, with maybe one or two exceptions, has someone or some group pursuing them. So we're all going to wake up thinking that it was our group that did this, and I'm pretty sure none of us are going to be right.
It's really ironic that happened too, because Pertuset and I both, I think, are the kinds of DMs where we mostly leave everything with character backstories to our players. We don't do a lot until they've given us the premise. So none of that was thought up by me. They all individually on their own came up with a thing where they were like, I'm being hunted by someone and I need to get away. And so like 4 of the 6 of them are going to wake up and be like, it was the Illuminati. I know who it is. I know who it is who got us, guys.
I don't think Ren's being hunted, but I think that Ren knows who they would blame when they wake up tied up.
Yep.
Francis. No.
Either Francis or Francis is involved, but yeah.
It's always Francis's fault.
Wakes up gasping, I'm gonna kill him.
But yes, that's our campaign introductions for the most part, with a few exceptions like we didn't mention.
No, go through how we met in JoJo.
No. So
I don't even remember how we met in JoJo.
I do.
Wait, why do I also not remember how we met in JoJo? What the fuck?
I do. Anyway.
No, you have to tell us.
Oh, no. We got locked in a basement.
That's what it was.
Anyway, so I was gonna let's talk a little bit more on the trope of taverns, like how it is in the general community, and then I want to talk more about session zeros.
And Josuke was there.
Yeah. No. Anyway. Yes. No. Maybe.
Yes.
So taverns, I don't have a problem. I don't think any one of us have a problem with taverns being where you start.
Nah.
I don't even have like a typical gripe that I would normally have, which is it's so popular I hate it. I just if that's what you're gonna do, sure. If it could be interesting, it could not be. It doesn't really even have to be, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
An introduction it's cool if it's epic, but that's not why I play the game. I don't play the game for the introduction.
No. And if it's good enough for Critical Role.
Yeah, true.
A good way I've seen it used, which is how it was used in Critical Role and how it was used in the name escapes me and I've been watching it. What the heck?
Umineko.
No. It's that one that has Juniper Actius in it, and I really like it because she's a VTuber that I like.
Oh, I do not know the name of it, but I know the group you're talking about.
And it has like Tomato Gaming and Lawman in them, and I love them. They're great. But anyways, is something that both of those groups did is they had session zeros where they were all in like small little pocketed off groups. And then for some reason, they all came to this tavern after their session zero where they happened to meet each other and then plot hooked them together. For Critical Role, it was... I think in campaign 2, it was just like they kind of liked each other and all went to the circus together. And then the thing at the circus happened, and that was like, okay, now you're all stuck together because a murder happened, and we got to get to the bottom of this. They were all staying
at the same tavern to begin with, because they met in the tavern, and then Molly came and gave them the flyer for the...
Yes, that's what it is. It's been so long ago since I watched the first episode.
I just recently rewatched it. So
and for that other one I'm talking about, 2 of them, like 3 of them were in there because they just got done with a job, and they were like, oh, let's celebrate because we got money. And then the 2 others came in there and they were talking with a dude to like start their own job, but it went south, went bad, and he had a bomb in him.
Oh, that's right. I remember this.
And then he blew up the tavern, killing everyone except for the player characters.
Jeez.
So then they were all like, and had to escape by the skin of their teeth, almost dead. And they kind of like, what's it called? Like, not survivor's guilt, but they all got stuck together because they all survived and got seen by the police. So the police thought they did it. So they're stuck
PTSD.
Together now. Yeah.
Yeah. It can be interesting.
I remember right, they're called the Pipe Dreamers. That's the name of their party.
That's right. Beautiful.
Yeah, taverns can be crazy cool, interesting like that, or they can be very what do you call that, like laid back. Like I would say Critical Role campaign 2, the way they start it in the tavern, there's not something crazy going on that hooks them in. They're just kind of chilling. It's just very grounded. Yeah.
It's the purpose of a tavern to go eat and hang out, and if it has rooms, maybe get a room.
I would think the majority of TTRPG players want to hear this, but some of you might not want to hear this. Some of the impetus is definitely on the player to make sure that the party and all the stuff happens.
Yeah.
Like in Critical Role Campaign 2, there's plenty of reasons why some of those characters wouldn't have stayed around and wouldn't have gone to that little festival, little carnival, the circus.
Yeah.
But you have to help push it along a little bit as a player. You don't have to. You can just leave. But then you're that guy. If you do that, just like you just go like, okay, I'm going to go with the flow. I'm going to help at the beginning, and then you get a lot more agency as you go on.
Yep.
But yeah, you can start anywhere. Just introduce your character. Start at a tavern. Start in a jail cell. Start in a brothel. Start literally in a field of battle. I don't care. Start anywhere. It's what happens afterwards that matters.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there is a certain amount of suspension of disbelief to starting a campaign, because the Vivia 1 characters are the perfect example. If Shanae and Mercury would have met in public, there probably would have been fire. Or like any of those characters, because the characters did not get along at first. And so I think that you have to have some kind of driving force to keep them together and be a party together, including the party being a little bit self-aware of being like, yes, we have to stay together even if I don't like these people because it's the game. And it makes for character conflict further down the road. I cannot speak English. But I think that going in with that dynamic is interesting, but you can't be the jerk that is just like, I don't like the party and I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
Then why are you playing the game?
Yeah. That's not fun for anybody if you're just there. If you're just trying to, I don't know. I don't even know why you do that. Honestly, go play single player D&D if that's what you want.
There is a thing for that.
There is, yeah. You can do it. That was not like a joke. You could, if you want to, go play single player D&D. I'm being honest.
Or just write a book.
Or just write a book. Yeah, yeah. Any more tavern thoughts before we go into session 0 thoughts?
I like taverns.
Taverns are nice. I think
Get out of here. No, I'm kidding.
Personally, I like to use taverns not as a starting point because I also know that you guys are going to be going to taverns probably over the course of your adventure. In the world I use, it is generally cities have been used by these parties that make up them, the players, as checkpoints, and usually taverns are their place of rest. So that's, I guess, that's kind of like how you guys have molded my perception of taverns, is I kind of view them as a checkpoint for you guys rather than a place of meeting or a place of leisure. It's like you guys are going to go here and probably get a long rest, so you're probably going to refresh everything and then progress onward with your mission now that you have things replenished, resources replenished, and at your disposal.
Well, we get a long rest unless we get arrested from the tavern in the middle of the night, in the middle of a huge incident in the city that we're staying in.
That happens all the time. Yeah, that's all right. That's to be expected.
Oh, absolutely. We should have seen it coming.
That's part of the end user license agreement.
Yeah.
When you said, I'm going to sleep here at the tavern.
There's a liability clause that you have to sign.
Should have just slept on the roof. And they wouldn't have woken you up.
But I agree. I think, I mean, obviously in my world, there's not a whole lot of taverns because it's Bronze Age. So it's not like they aren't pocketed around as much as they would be in a further along world. But, I mean, the only time I imagine taverns being used is when you need a place to rest. You guys don't need that because you have what is typically, I can't remember the real name of it anymore. Darren's Instant Fortress?
Is it?
Something
Yeah.
like that. I knew it was Agamemnon's Instant Tower, and I was like, wait, that's not the name.
It's a porta-fort, to use a term that's horrible and awful because it's from Fortnite.
Oh, no.
It's a portable tower that has enough space for like a dozen people if you really crammed it full.
And a shark occasionally.
And a shark in our case. But that's the thing, too, is like, I feel like if I gave you guys any semblance of your own portable lodgings, portable, what is the word I'm looking for? Shelter. There we go. At any point, you easily would have been like, yeah, no, we're just going to do this like outside of town, not worry about it. But I didn't. I wasn't like Pertuset. I wasn't that generous. I didn't give you that. So you guys sheltered up inside civilization more often, whereas we are like, we got this fortress is made out of adamantine. We can do it anywhere we want. We can sit in the middle of a dang field that's infested with what are they? The snakes that are segmented?
Segmented snakes.
Yeah, one of my other players from the other group have decided to call that a no snake.
I love it.
Field of no snakes.
I'm just rolling with it.
Amazing.
I don't think he's right, but I mean, why would I correct him? Is God going to come down and say, actually, they're called that? No, he thinks there are no snakes. There are no snakes. But
there's some snake there.
Yeah, I would call it half snake, but he says no snake, so I'm leaving him to it.
I like no snake. That's fun.
But yeah, I'm very glad that I gave you guys that fortress because, frankly, taverns, aside from like meeting in them, I agree that they're kind of just like checkpoints, but like we have to go through. There's so many things you have to go through that slow down the pace of the game to do
like
taverns.
Getting a hotel in the real world. You gotta go to the front desk. You gotta pay the man the money. Yeah. You gotta get how many rooms you need. If the food is extra money, you gotta be like, oh yeah, you pay for that. You get that in the morning. Go to the room. Maybe have a little chat time. Go to sleep. Wake up. Go down to the front. Be like, hey, we're getting out of here. Get out of there. You probably went out of your way to get wherever to the tavern is. And so you like took a little detour. You can't, because I don't have my camera today, so you can't see what I'm doing with my hands. But like if you were going in a straight line to get to your objective, but then you did like and went to the left to get to the nearest city, It can throw off your whole feng shui. I know what you're talking about.
True. Yeah. I was thinking like, I mean, the only DMs I've known are like 2 people. Well, 3, maybe 4. But,
Maybe 5.
yeah. Like, I don't know any DM that's been like, I am counting on my players getting to this certain tavern for the story when they rest. It's always like they go to the inn or the tavern, whatever. They go there to rest. And then as a DM, maybe I'll screw with them, and if they're not careful, I'll have someone pick their lock or something, and then that just slows down the pace of the game even more because now they're trying to get this guy. You could do it if you're doing a more loose form campaign where it's very much just kind of following the players and there's no overarching story, which we don't really do that much. You could do that where now the story is let's find the person that stole from us. You could totally do that. I could see a Critical Role bit about that, like 5 episodes finding this thief and it ends up being a giant cult or something. I could see them doing that, but in a game that's got an overarching story already, that just slows everything down, especially if there's 1 or 2 players that are like, no, I want to go party in the tavern for a bit. So now you just have to follow them while everyone else just wants to get their long rest in. Or people that want to wake up in the morning and talk to people. Either way, it just slows everything down, I think. It's almost like, what's the other thing people don't like in D&D because it slows everything down? Not combat.
Realistic travel.
Yeah, exactly. It just slows it down. Sometimes it's quicker. That's why I like the fortress you guys have, because it's just, you plop it down, you say you're going to sleep, and I'm like, okay. And I don't even have to worry about something attacking you because they can't really.
You can't get in.
Exactly.
And now we have something that's even better than that we're going to be using in the future, probably. So
I will also say I like to think that the in-character reason for our aversion to taverns in Olympus is because the last tavern that we stayed in was in the Dionysus town where shit hit the fan. That is
true.
So that's, in my brain, that's why we don't stay at taverns anymore. It's just like an unspoken agreement of like, no, we're gonna do our own thing and stay in our own separate place with all of us accounted for, and we're not chancing it again.
Didn't even think about that.
So there you go. You can also make story reasons for it. And about taverns though, session zeros. Jordan, you've been a player for all the session zeros. How do you feel about them?
I think they're pretty useful. I know that we don't necessarily do as in-depth session zeros as a lot of people, so that's like, I know that we're kind of using session 0 in kind of air quotes, but I think, and I also think that we don't do as much in-depth session zeros because we have been playing together for such a long time and we're all friends, obviously. So like, we all kind of like, those discussions have already been had about like what the line is. So we don't redo it every time we start a new campaign. But I think it's always nice I always like hearing lore. I always try to go Levi into doing lore dumps, so that I always like the session 0 part where it's all of the background information and all that stuff. And I've read the Olympus lore document, so I don't have to go Pertuset into telling me stories all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, we should definitely. We don't really do session zeros as some people know them as, where it's all about like the setting the tone of the campaign and what everyone's comfortable with. We don't do that because we've been playing for so long. We know each other's thing. We treat them more maybe as like a 0.5 session, where instead it's setting up the story, setting up how we meet.
It's kind of like a stepping stone to get a couple. The way I was thinking of it was I partitioned you all off into separate groups so that when you all met together, you would already have individuals who you had met beforehand, so that you all may as well be strangers, yes, but you've known this stranger sitting to your right for like 2 weeks longer than you've known the rest of them, so you feel more comfortable with them. So it gives an opportunity. Yeah, it gives an opportunity to like have some people talk to each other more in the beginning, because they're like, I don't trust this kobold we got with us. What are we gonna do about that? It's a we? Yeah, it's a we.
We're all strangers, but that's my stranger.
And somehow I got paired with Jordan again.
Every time.
I'm getting sick of it.
Wow,
I'm kidding.
I asked you guys who you wanted to be with.
And I said I didn't want to be with Jordan, but you said I had
I didn't care.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm just kidding.
Pick TJ. Dylan wasn't there to pick.
Oh, I forgot because Dylan was supposed to be in our session 0, but stuff got moved around, so I forgot about that. We were supposed to be a trio. And then Sylvie joined late, so Ashlyn didn't get to have a second.
Yeah, she didn't get a session 0. I did ask her if she wanted one, and she said no. So,
in your defense, I guess technically for Vivia 2, I did start with TJ. Yeah, technically, and then Jordan.
But you were the one that brought my character into the story because there had to be a reason. Because I was just there, but I wasn't with the group because I was not there for the session 0, quote unquote.
Theoretically speaking, which, oh my gosh, there's some nice poetic stuff going on there. That campaign 2 began with Victor and Finrau. Wow, how poetic! Considering how it ends,
like poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah, that's cool. Anyway.
Did you plan that, Levi?
One of the greatest, worst phrases said in history, George Lucas's. It's like poetry. It rhymes.
It applies to so many things, though.
Yeah. Somehow Eok returned.
Us when she shows up in campaign 3 as TJ's Warlock patron.
Guys, it wasn't funny out there. It's not funny in here.
I love that line so much. Okay. Oh, so, yeah, I enjoy that style for session 0s to just set up the world. I can't speak to how it is as a device for setting up the tone. I imagine it's good and helpful. It's just that we've never done it that way.
Yeah. Well, we did for Alice. We technically had like a mini session 0 for Alice, which I think was helpful because that's a more somber game and a more somber setting anyway. So I think it was nice to have everybody kind of put out their like their hard lines. We did lines and veils for that. Put out their hard lines and stuff for that.
Yeah, it was fun.
Which I mean, it worked for a different game setting.
Yeah. I always think to how funny it was, how many times it mentioned, what was it? It kept mentioning that like we were like, this is the 4th time it said this specific line. It was like,
it hammered in the lines and veils stuff pretty hard, which I guess it kind of seems silly is not the right word. I think it seems kind of redundant for us as a group that's played together for so long, but I can understand going into that with a group that maybe doesn't know each other as well, and somebody's gonna be like, oh, I bet Alice went and offed herself and jumped off a bridge, and somebody else is like, whoa, dude, not like, that's not cool.
Taryn.
Yeah, true. I'm still in the boat that I think it was like a psychological thing. The reason they included it so much was to make everyone else actually behave that way. It's just if you say it enough, everyone's going to actually adopt it. Yeah.
Yeah. That also would make sense.
That's why it was. Because we were pretty serious throughout that game. We weren't that mean.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is because how many times it said there was some specific line that it said. That,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
that it
I
repeated
can't remember
like 4 times.
The precise wording.
But I think that's why I think they did it, is because it literally mentally subconsciously sets you in the mood to be serious.
It was definitely a tone setter.
But yeah, I'd say session 0s are probably a good idea for any TTRPG for that, for sure, especially if you're playing among strangers. Definitely.
I'll ask you, Pertuset. Do you think, because I know we've talked about, you're not going to do session 0s for your next campaign?
Oh, I thought you were just asking what I think. The answer is no.
Amazing.
I was going to say, now that I have done them, do you think for any reason you would want to do them for your next campaign? Because I know you're planning another campaign, just as I probably will plan another once we're doing your next one, and the cycle will continue until we are under the ground.
Until Taryn gets to play his 4th edition campaign.
Yeah, exactly. Sticking on the theme, probably. I don't know. Because the way my next one's going to work is going to be really disparate, ideally. All of you guys are going to be very separated at the start. It'd be very hard. Yeah.
That's because the character that I sent you, that's kind of got to be.
Hey, I want to start with Jordan. No.
That could also work, but it has to be like one person, like one other person that knows this character.
And
not like 4 people.
Taryn told me he wants to start with Jordan too.
He's not
okay then. No. But I've told you guys a little bit that I'm planning on making a world that's based on every other mythology other than Greek, since we've done that now.
Yeah.
So it's going to be pretty hard to explain why the guy living in Egypt land is very familiar with the lady from Norse land.
Yeah.
What?
Because I wasn't planning on this being like one, like, I was thinking these would be continents or something, and then they're going to be like, whoa, there's another set of pantheon gods over there. I've never been here before.
It's
I want
just
it to be
like
more
God
like
of
that.
War.
Kind of.
Hey, Kratos had a Norse wife.
Yeah. So maybe one of you guys can have a character that's like, I was from this place, but I came over here and basically I'm an isekai protagonist. But yeah, I don't know.
Kratos diet where you killed your entire family, but they were all just mortals. You're not a god. You're just a fighter, a human fighter,
just a serial killer. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think I like the idea of setting you guys up and stuff, but also I think it would be worse for the story to try and pair you off than it would be better because of how disparate I want it to be. But we'll see how that is when we get closer around to that. If anything, I might do session zeros just like I might have to do exactly individual session zeros where it's just one person and we start out your story and then the session zero ends with you getting into the party.
Well, you heard it. Levi and I have to be together.
Not happening. You'll be together at session 1. How about that? That's the best I can give you.
Are we gonna be cordoned off to the mythology that we picked? Because I know every person picked. Ooh, yeah.
Did I pick a mythology? I don't remember. I think I said Norse.
Your picks have not been locked in yet. We're so far away from that.
I thought I picked Norse, but I don't remember.
I won't have you lock it in until we start getting to character creation for Olympus 2, as it's currently being called, even though it's not going to be about Greek myth. I
created my character.
I know, but you have to pick a world or a mythology for them.
I win. I won D&D. I already have a character. I have 2 characters planned in advance.
I also won D&D, in that I am looking at the current PDF for the cleric subclass 1 D&D.
I don't think you can match Taryn, Jordan.
What do you mean?
It's like unlimited blade works. He always
unlimited character works.
Yeah, he always has more characters.
Okay, let me put it this way. I have 2 fleshed out characters that are planned for the next 2 campaigns concretely.
This is the exact plot of Unlimited Blade Works. Gilgamesh has an almost infinite supply of extremely powerful weapons, but the main character has an infinite supply of really cheap bad weapons.
Gilgamesh from the Babylonian mythology?
Yes, he's one of the bad guys.
It's the one dude from the Bible.
No,
God damn it!
With the hair.
No, Jordan, the one dude from Greek.
Yeah, sorry, it's the one dude from Greek myth. I couldn't do the wrong. It was the one dude from Greek myth.
When is a Joradar?
Greek myth.
I'm gonna give context on this. We were in Discord one night and Taryn mistook the biblical character Samson for someone from Greek mythology. I exploded at him as a Greek myth nerd.
With the hair.
Oh,
it was funny. But yeah,
it was humorous.
It was.
Indeed.
Other thing about introductions. Oh, let's quickly touch on character introductions post the party starting. Someone dies or someone new joins.
Oh.
Those are difficult.
Yeah.
We've had some go better than others due to other party members.
Mm-hmm. They can be rough to pull off, and I think in our experience, the majority have been rough rather than smooth.
Yeah.
I think Olympus, so far, the campaign we're currently playing, has been the only one that I'd say had kinda smooth transition from one character to another, which I would say was Taryn's first and second character.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. I think Iris happened pretty naturally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, pretty much every other one we've done, there have been some that are like, it's not bad, but it's definitely not good either. Where it's like, okay, you're here now, and we're accepting that you are a part of our group, even though normally we probably wouldn't for any reason. But then there are others that are just bad.
Yeah, or you had ones that were like, we're not accepting you as a part of the group, and we're going to throw things at you because of it.
Like there was the one where Taryn's first character in Vivia 2 died in the first session. Second session, And so he replaced it with another character that the party was immediately suspicious of and didn't like, for good reason too, because they just kind of showed up out of nowhere and were like, yeah, I was told to be with you guys.
We were probably a little meaner about it than we should have been, though.
I was justified because he stole my name. It's not even a coincidence. Like, we started the campaign. If it was session 1 and he was like, "Yes, I am Victoria," and I was like, "Oh, hello, I'm Victor," it would have been like, okay, sure, wacky coincidence. But this was after he had met my character and known my character. He's like, I'm gonna name my character Victoria.
Yeah.
That was me slapping Taryn. I'm kidding. No. We were trying to be really serious at the beginning of that campaign, so a lot of us were trying to commit to our role play. So we were like, we should not have the suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, we have since learned.
Kind of like still in our formative stage of us figuring out how our group dynamic worked and becoming comfortable with one another, because TJ was still a very new addition to the group at that time. He hadn't played with us very much. Ashlyn wasn't playing with us at the beginning of that campaign, if I remember correctly. Wasn't she added on?
No, she was.
She was there.
Lavender was there from the beginning.
She was, man.
She was there very early and very sporadically, but she was there from the beginning.
That's probably why I feel like that then. Dylan was not a part of our group yet. So we had different cast of characters at that time.
And we had people that currently do not play with us anymore.
Yes. And I think that our current dynamic that we kind of understand is all of us are like, we are all very willing and want to have serious moments, but we're all more than willing to be goofy too if we need to be. And I think it's kind of we've talked about this in past episodes. It's kind of that thing where we're like, well, like, our characters are an extension of ourselves or a certain part of our psyche that we want to be represented in this game. And we all as people would probably make jokes in situations like these, because we're not just going to be morbid, like, oh, doom and gloom, everything's serious all the time, because like people do that. People make jokes when things are bad. People try to be funny because it brings their spirits up. So this was kind of before we were like, that's okay to do.
Yeah.
And we were trying to be really serious, both me as the DM and the group. We're being like, this is a epic fantasy story, and we all have to be extremely serious, and
everything is stoic.
Everything is stoic, and you're suspicious of everyone because anyone could be an enemy. Which I mean, if it was the real world, yeah, you guys definitely would have been suspicious of Terran's random ass character coming up to you guys and being like, I was told to join you. And giving you no explanation as to why. But we all knew, as players of the game,
meta knowledge,
he was there because he was a player and he needed a reason to join you guys. So
and honestly, if you want to think of it like a writing challenge. Like, if we look at, this is going to sound funny at the very beginning, Terran's third character, that character had some major backstory beef with my character in that campaign. And yet my character was the most accepting as soon as his character showed up and was like, I'm going to treat you well and I'm going to help you integrate in the party because I want to help you.
And then the resolution of that character arc was the Warlock, which was Terran's character, whose entire pact was based around getting Pertuset's character. He ended up by like level 11 not wanting to anymore because they had become friends. And so the patron left. The patron was like, you don't want to do this anymore? Okay, bye. And they became a mundane person for like a session and then had to figure out wizard stuff. So
yeah, you can take debatably what was either me just wanting to be nice to Terran's new character since we gave his second character such a hard time.
Yeah.
But also because my character in game was trying to be a nice person. Take that, made it into a character thing. I could have given him a cold shoulder or been like super suspicious and been like, no, I'm going to get him. That might have been in more character. But as a result, it created much more interesting dynamic and in-game consequences because Victor, my character, was being nice to this character. That created far more interesting stuff than if I was just suspicious and angry all the time.
Yeah.
Another example of that is Fern's introduction in Olympus could have gone so much worse. with Arlo, like that, because Arlo has complete probable cause and definitely has the right to kill any satyr that she meets on sight that comes out of that stupid forest. Her words, not mine. But like Arlo would have complete rationale as a character to immediately see Red and try to kill anything that comes out of the forest that she lives in. But I was like, no, I can't just auto kill Ashley when she shows up.
Also, it's been a really long time for us in real life and also in the game a little bit, but I enjoyed, well, I guess I was just the DM, but still, I enjoyed Hector's introduction a good bit.
I did enjoy Hector's introduction as well. That was fun.
Hector's introduction was good, but I also kind of don't consider that. I mean, it was a midway through the story, but all of us, it was different, right? Because all of us also knew that it wasn't like, oh, it's a player returning with a new character. It was Dylan entering the game for the first time. So I think we all, yeah, we all had kind of a different feeling to the situation, I think, in that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I just thought it was fun that he joined you guys in the middle of a dungeon, was just like, check this out.
Yeah.
He has a habit of doing that. That's how two of his characters have been introduced, is in the middle of a dungeon.
Well, Saladin wasn't in the middle of a dungeon. It was right at the beginning.
It was for a dungeon, yeah.
It was for a dungeon, yes. Which is interesting.
I like that. I always liked that was fun that he just like showed up and was like,
Brandon,
I'm gonna do this.
His current character did go into a dungeon as
God
the first
damn it, he did it a third time. That's
right, you weren't there for his session 0, were you?
No, I wasn't. I knew that he was in the same area that Pertuset and I were in, but he was behind us. But I wasn't there for that, so I didn't get all the details.
He was basically underneath you for
like you can't keep getting
everything
away
you
with
were
it.
doing. He was in the catacombs of the castle you were in.
Oh, so he went under as where we went over.
Yes.
I was there for that. I have been present for every session 0 ever.
I was only there for ours and Terran's and TJ's.
He had a little puzzle he had to do.
I was there for session 0 of Vivia 1, Vivia 2, all Vivia 3s, and Olympus.
You win. You won D&D.
I get all the zeros. No heroes for me.
But what about
Dylan?
Divide by 0?
You can't do that.
Have you tried?
Oh, let me try real quick.
Let's see. Nothing into nothing. Carry the nothing.
Well, yeah. Any more thoughts on introductions? Going once. Going twice. Huh?
I have some thoughts on extraductions.
Extraductions? Yeah, I want you guys to meet my new character. He has slaughtered 1,000 civilizations, and he's challenged the gods personally to battle. And he's known for his epic war sword that's able to destroy continents in a single swipe.
He is level 5.
Level 4.
That's an extraduction.
His name is John Arbuckle. We're coming for you, Garfield. I added you on Twitter. Respond to me, cowards. You too, Barks.
We'll get him eventually. We just got to keep being persistent.
Oh, I have formally declared war on the year 2023. Join me as we fight against the enemy.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed the episode you just listened to. If you really like our content, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications on YouTube, and look for us on Spotify. If you'd like to see us continuing to do more fun projects in the future, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can find our page linked in the description above all of our other social media links. And finally, if you'd like to keep up with the zany shenanigans of our lives and check out some more skit-based content and things like that, check us out on Twitter and TikTok, links in the description. And hey, thanks!